Buckle up, sports fanatics. This is the Sports Chasers Podcast, your HQ for in-depth sports talk. Join host Kevin L. Warren and crew as they dissect the hottest stories, ignite debates, and bring you closer to the action. From locker room whispers to expert takes, we cover it all. It's game time, so strap in and grab a drink. The Sports Chasers Podcast starts right now.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's happening, everybody? It's another edition of the Sports Chasers Podcast. It's the interview sessions here with the Sports Chasers, man, as we talk to great hosts and also guests who are very intriguing, very engaging, very whatever you want to call it, man, but interesting, maybe provocative. We'll see. But before we get into that, make sure you like, click, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share the channel with us. Make sure you hit the bells for all the notifications. And on the podcasting side, y'all give us that 5-star. Those that are listening, that 5-star review. Love us and hate us, as D does always say, man. Let us know how we're doing. You certainly have done it in the past and continue to do it. We appreciate that tonight. DA, what's up, man? How are you tonight, bro? What's going on, man? I feel like we haven't done this in a minute. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. No complaints, brother.
Good.
No complaints. No complaints.
Good. I'm glad you're staying cool and hydrated, sir.
Yeah. I'm nauseous, but yeah, we'll be okay.
Got you, man. Listen, we got a treat for you tonight, man. We got a gentleman. He hails from the County of Kings. That's right, same borough I'm from. But let me give you the formal introduction here for the Sports Chasers interview sessions. From the Boulevard Houses to Brooklyn Tech, from the blacktops of East New York to courts across New York City. Tonight's guest is a walking, talking Brooklyn legacy. That's right, Brooklyn is the borough. He's a mentor, motivator, and master storyteller. For nearly 30 years, he's been coaching young hoopers, not just to win games, but to win at life. His motto, which I think is dope, what I'm about to say, these next 4 years can shape the next 60. It's powerful within itself. As the voice behind the powerful Growing Up Brooklyn podcast, that's right, he has his own podcast, which I was guest on there about a month ago. He's keeping the culture alive, one story, one memory, one lesson at a time. Tonight, we're diving deep into hoops, heart, and heritage with the one and only Coach Tyrone Hodges. Coach, what's happening, brother? How are you tonight, man?
Yo, I'm doing good, man. Yo, thank you for that awesome introduction, man. I was getting chills, like, man, he nailing everything, man. That's what's up. I appreciate the love, man. Yo, big up Brooklyn all day, every day, man. Thank you for that powerful intro, and I'm excited to be here, man. Fan of the show, and you know, we do. You guys do what I love to do, man. Talk sports and chop it up like you in the barbershop.
Oh man, that's basically what we do, man. Every Monday and Thursday night, man, and we appreciate you for checking this out, man. And like I said, I was on your show about a month ago, man, and I had a good time. We just chopped it up. We just talked about life and just growing up. And hey, DA said one night on the show, he said, "Yo, y'all might need a growing up in Harlem."
No, it's all good. We were often imitated, never duplicated. Everybody tried to be like us. So
you went there, okay, with some bars.
Oh, it's the truth.
No, shout out to Harlem though. Shout out to and Harlem carries. Harlem carries the weight of Manhattan. So when you refer to Manhattan, you don't say Manhattan, you say Harlem specifically. So I shout out to y'all, man, because y'all do carry the weight of a whole borough on you guys. So I should give you guys some love on that.
Yeah, we don't have a problem with being who we are. It's especially from the basketball scene. It was always the Bronx is strong too. Back when I was a kid too, so the Bronx is real strong. So, but the boys and girls, Bronx had Clinton, Cardinal Hayes, schools like that. Harlem, Ben Franklin, math and science. It became Kenny Hutchinson and straight legends, back in the days. And, and Brooklyn too. I mean, it was a
Pearl,
different
man.
world.
Pearl Washington, man.
Oh yeah, Pearl was the truth, man. For a dude that couldn't jump at all, couldn't jump over a phone book, man. But his handle was first dude I seen doing in and out, I believe. Yeah, he's the first dude I seen. He had a brother named Turtle, and his brother was nice too. It was real nice. Turtle's brother was nice as well. I used to come up and play at King Towers up in Harlem at the time. So, yeah, it was I remember watching a lot of basketball, man. And when my son, before we moved down here, he played for the Gauchos, like 7 years old. Like, he's on the first 7 under team they ever had there. They never really had younger teams like that. They had teams that were, I think they maybe was 11 and under, 12 and under. They never really did the real young kids until his little crew. I think they were 7, and it was a great experience, man. And I try to tell, especially guys down here in North Carolina, man, like what I've seen AAU turn into is not really good, but it's not the kid's fault. It's the parents' fault. Because, when I was a kid, the coaches were coaches. Like, they weren't parents. Like, you would never coach your kid. That it didn't make sense where I come from.
Right.
Well, the guy that coached in the program was your coach. And when you aged out of that age and you went to the next group, then that guy would coach you. So, as I tell people, it made it easier for parents and mothers and everybody else, because if your kid could play, he was going to play. And if the kid wasn't that good, then he'd be on the B team.
Right.
Your job is to get better so you can be on the A team and get the free sneakers and get the Nikes and this, that, and the third. But, if you wasn't that good, nobody gave you anything. So
That's right. That's right. You got to earn your burn, man. And,
it's
these kids don't understand that today. I
well,
coach
they don't
travel
play
ball as
outside.
well.
Yeah, they don't play outside.
Everybody thinks their kid is the next Steph Curry, or and I know I shared this with Kev. I tell my girls, and I tell even the boys that I encounter, don't watch Steph Curry. He's a generational talent. He's a Caitlin Clark, generational talent, once in a lifetime. Watch Jalen Brunson, watch Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, watch how they just live in the mid-range. Watch Kelsey Plum from the women's game. Watch how she'll take some open threes, but all the 3 of them have in common, what they do the best, they get their foot in the paint. You get your foot in the paint, high percentage shot, easier shot to make, and everybody just wants to play for the highlights, but don't want to put in the work behind. They don't know the hours that these athletes put in to be where they are. They just wake up and think they can jump on the court and play, and it definitely doesn't happen like that.
That mid-ranger, like, championships are won in the mid-range in basketball, right? Because everybody else, the 3 is still a low percentage shot. So unless you're Steph Curry or Klay Thompson, right?
Not according to the nerds, but
no, it is. They know it is. They're just telling you something else.
I know.
So that's all. It's the mid range is still a 50% shot.
Yep.
3-pointers, like, you're a good 3-point shooter if you're hitting 30%. So it's it's up to your coaching and learning the game and what works in the game. So, but most kids aren't students, so at least not anymore. But the ones who are, they will make it though, because you know the game. Everybody's just you being tall is just not enough now, because you're going to get to a point in time where everybody's 6'5", so then things change. If you're not used to working, then you're not really gonna get nowhere, man.
And these kids don't even watch the game. They don't even watch. I had practice yesterday, and I asked them, how many of y'all watched the Atlanta Dream and the Minnesota Lynx play? Like, not one person raised their hand. I'm like, you guys have the greatest tool, the greatest training tool in front of you, the internet, YouTube. You can back in our day, you had to
Find it.
Jimmy rig 2 VCRs to even get some game film
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and
yeah.
training
They
was
have no
was
trainers.
your pops taking you down there
Yeah,
and making you run some suicides and stuff. Like training was unheard of. But or it was the local rec league coach that maybe saw something in you. But what it is now, to your point, is just it's a bad business. And unfortunately, AAU, the organization, gets a bad rap because
yeah,
everybody associates it with AAU. They have their own issues, but
Correct.
to your point, it's the unrealistic parents. It's the parents that don't understand how much the game changed. I know. In one of your previous shows, you touched on NIL, and although NIL was good for certain athletes, it's ruining the game where kids, and I'll say more so for football, where these kids are walking on the college campus and they want money before they even throw a damn pass. Like Arch Manning's got all this NIL because of his name, and I'm not saying he's not talented, but I mean the kid is good. The kid got it in his bloodline. But some other kids and some other schools are commanding money before they step on line, and then in basketball, you're seeing these kids go to 4 different schools in 4 years chasing NIL money. So
but
it's yeah, it's
it will kind of parse itself out because the NIL money everybody's not going to get because they're all not stars, right?
mhm.
So they may get that consortium money that people put together to have kids play, but NIL it really ain't enough stars at this point in time. Football probably more. There's more stars because your local town or Gainesville. Everybody got a little commercial here, commercial there, whatever. But I just think that the biggest thing with AAU is that it changed, man. Like it fundamentally changed. When guys started having their own teams, and so my son can play, and this, that, and the third. Because a lot of dudes ain't gonna do that, man. A lot of dudes are just not gonna sit, you know, on the team so your son can get all the like. No one's doing that, and there's not enough burn to really make that happen. And that's why Nike did what they did. And I'm not saying they're right to do it, but I remember when it was back in the day when cats went to Vegas and you would play either in the Adidas, the Reebok, or that was it. You played in the
Yeah.
64s, one of them. So but you got to play against the best players in the country. Those are the only cats that was going. Like there wasn't nobody going out there that couldn't play. Like you had to
Right.
go out there and be nice. So and that's where these guys met each other. That's where Pearl got to play against this dude from Cali. Because you didn't play against nobody from Cali at Boys and Girls. You know what I mean?
No.
You know, so you didn't. So you maybe played in the summer with the Gauchos or Brooklyn USA with Tiny and them. When you got to travel, had some money, where dudes was taking you someplace, but you went out there to ball. And
Yeah.
that was in between going out to the park and playing. Getting your
All
game up
stars.
against old dudes, right? You go
Mm-hmm.
out there, you got to play against old dudes. No fouls. Let's get it in. Let's make it happen, and you get better that way because you wasn't paying for trainers, man. The only trainer you had was your high school coach, or like you said, your rec league coach, or you know. But it wasn't Now you got I know kids, their parents got kids paying $100 a week.
A lot of money. A lot of
A lot of
money.
money. Oh, training is it's a
It's a
big
big
business
business.
now.
It
Yeah.
doesn't. The bad part about that I think, Ty, and I'm pretty sure you probably heard it. Like this is why a lot of the players, especially in the men's game, are like they're only going to be kids of NBA players because those were the only guys that'll be able to teach you without getting jerked around for the money. So like Gilbert can teach his son how to play because
Right.
Gilbert played. Carmelo can teach his son how to play because Carmelo played. And he's going to learn things and he's going to have that mid range and do certain things. But they're not paying dudes that kind of money because they know that those guys that are taking that money from these parents and kids, especially mothers, black mothers,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
they get abused. because they want their kid to be go to college, play whatever, but they don't see how they're also being used, right? So you got these trainers, and they're not really teaching your son, because training and playing are two very different things. So
Yeah,
I watched it all. But you'll never get back to what we did in New York, and what we saw and watched, and that you'll never get again. And for the kids that are lucky enough to still go out to the park and play, I'm happy for you kids, because in Charlotte, you can ride past basketball courts all day long, and there'll be no one out there. So nobody at all.
So let me get to this point, Coach Todd. So growing up in Brooklyn, speaking of playing on the blacktop and all that, how was it for you when growing up in Boulevard Housing? Me and you talked about that off here. We might know some similar folks. How was it for you when you was coming up?
Man, like DA said, man, you went to the park. We had a park called the Green Courts that was like in the middle of the housing project, and that's where like everybody played. And and I was just telling somebody this story. I said, 10 o'clock in the morning, you hear the echo. This is the way that the housing project was structured. You could hear echo of somebody bouncing the basketball through. You look out your window, and then all of a sudden, that park is full in like 30 minutes. Like everybody's outside, and you'd play, maybe from 10:30 to like 3, 4 in the afternoon, and in between you got a 50-cent tropical fantasy and a $2 soda. I'm sorry, and a $2 hero turkey and cheese or ham and cheese, and from the supermarket. And and that's what we did, man. We played. That was, like you said, like DA said, our training ground was, you played basketball every day, all day. You played against kids your age. We used to play like different sides of the housing project. We'd have like playoff series, imitating, like every week, every Saturday or Sunday we play against, and then you count who won this game. 7 weeks, you playing a 7-game series. We just didn't play every day, but that was our training ground, and that was our therapy, like just getting outside, interacting with other people. And like I said, these kids today, I call them air conditioned kids. I mean, it's 100 degrees outside. I remember coaching at a citywide tournament. You guys remember citywide, the
Yes.
outdoor tournament that used to be out in Queens?
Yes.
And I'm coaching my first real coaching experience. I was 18 years old. My dad was on dialysis. It was my dad's team, and I just aged out because I just turned 18. So there was no 18U, it was 17U. I just aged out, and I was coaching them, and it's like almost 100 degrees outside. And this lady says to me, she said, "Son, how old are you?" I said, I'm 18. She said, "And they listen to you?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, they want to play. They better listen to me. I control all the playing time." So, but like I said, these, going back to your original question, man, Boulevard was just, I mean, there's so many people, like, you had your housing legends and stuff like that, that was hooping out there. And I think one person, Keeble Stewart, I would think he went the furthest out of anybody that I can think of. I know he played at UNLV for a bit.
Yeah.
I think he went to Cal State Bakersfield. Shout out to Keeble. But we had, like I said, a bunch of people that just, in the hood, they were great. There's a guy, Ice. Never knew his real name, but Ice could pat that rock, man. I mean, but he was just, he did, unfortunately, from what I was told growing up, he didn't take care of his schoolwork. And I don't know, again, I'm not trying to throw shade on him, but he was like so many guys. Chris Sandy, rest in peace, Chris Sandy. Actually, he went to the Globetrotters and played for the Globetrotters and played overseas and had an unfortunate accident. But like I said, man, we had so many people come through that park. And now East New York has Gersh Park. If anybody's familiar, Gersh Park has a summer league now. Shout out to Damien and them guys that run that whole thing. And those are the young dudes that were behind me growing up that used to come in the park behind us. And now they're running Gersh Park, one of the biggest summer leagues out there that competes. They've actually beat Dykeman and they beat the Rucker, in tournaments, and stuff like that. So, East New York is coming on the map. Gersh Park is on the map. So, like I said, man, it was fun times, man. Just like I said, we still be out of school now. Wednesday, we probably be just wrapping up in the park right now or playing some Skelly.
Yeah, for sure.
Skelly, explain. Listen, Stop right there. Explain to our audience, because some people were like, "What the hell is Skelly?" Explain to our people what is Skelly.
You can explain Skelly.
It's I'll start by saying it's a game of high skill because you get this little imagine your milk top, right? You take your milk top, you fill it up with clay, tar, wax, whatever you could do to give it some weight, and you gotta pluck it down like your mom plucking you or your dad plucking you back in the day. You got to pluck it down into these boxes, and it takes some skill, a lot of math, and you got to, hit it the right way to get it to land in the middle of the box. High skill game. Everybody in Brooklyn, New York, across New York have different rules. I've played it all over the city, and everybody have different rules. But I tell everybody, listen, free lunch, free breakfast, free lunch, Skelly and basketball held us down all summer. And we
Yes.
were outside from 7:30 in the morning, and my mom didn't see us until probably about 7:30. We were out 12 hours a day outside, 50 shades darker from being in the sun, but we were outside kids. Like, it was unheard of to be indoors during the summer. We didn't read a lot of books, but like you said, but we were outside and we were active and busy. I still got scars on my legs and my arms from when I was a kid outside.
I think push-up tops made the best Skelly.
The ice cream push-ups, yes. Yeah.
No,
See,
man. No, you would steal the bottom of the chairs in school.
Dang, D, that's what y'all did up there.
See Harlem,
man. They automatically they was already
Yeah, I can see
on the bottom. You get some candle wax, give it its weight, put it in, bow. It was good. It was like I said, it was a different world. I know that there are certain places where they have like Skelly championships, stickball championships. They got them up in the Bronx.
Stickball, wow.
By at least they usually have them by Stevenson, behind Stevenson High School, where dudes would just play. But the reality was that it was necessity, man. We came up with things, and a lot of these games was games that older dudes taught us.
Yes.
So Skelly's was that's. My uncles played Skelly's.
Yeah, my dad played it. Yeah, my dad played it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, this is just what we did. My wife played. So like, we understand. Like, that's what it was. I miss the New York that was, but I also understand everything has to change. So it's all good. I think I've seen the change, man. My son played in the first Nike. We went out to Portland, President's Day tournament, first one. And so I think the shirt I still got one T-shirt from that tournament, and it might have been 2006 or 7 or something like that.
Wow.
And I remember watching Nike pull together that EYBL thing, and it was just because AAU had changed so much, and they wanted to keep the best players playing against the best players, because that's where the only competition is when kids are that good, is going up against each other. So, and we always had that in New York. So you had, like you said, Brooklyn squads playing uptown, they play some Bronx dudes, and Queens always have their tournaments. So there was always competition because these dudes that were really good, they knew each other.
Yeah.
They you got to think, man. I think I don't know how old you are, Todd, but I know they had. I think it was Mark Jackson, Kenny Smith, Satterfield. It was like 7 guards. Pearl Washington all came out of high school the same year.
Yeah.
And they all went to the Big East. Like, everybody went to the Big East.
Yeah, Kenny Smith was the sucker, man. He went to North Carolina. He should have stayed in the Big East. Hey, I'm Big East through and through, man. I still bleed Big East. I've been a Georgetown fan since I was a kid. I used to have the starter jacket. I had the Hoya dunks. My grandmother got them for me. You couldn't tell me nothing about Georgetown, man. I still root for them, man. They blow up my bracket every year, the Big East, except when Connecticut got hot, those 2 years. But But that was, like you say, good times, man. I don't root for Syracuse no more since anybody that left the Big East for football reasons. And I say, when I say, I mean, like, not Miami, because they weren't the original Big East.
Correct.
Virginia Tech wasn't the original Big East, but Pittsburgh, Syracuse, for them to leave, they really kind of, now we got like Creighton and not Butler, but teams that like, that's not even, y'all not even in the same damn time zone. Like, come on, man, that's not Big East basketball.
That was a money game.
People don't remember that, back in the day in the Big East, and you guys probably can. I know DA can attest to, like, get into the Garden for free and watch the tournament back in the day. Yeah. And they wouldn't even know nothing about that now. Like you said, with the St. John's and Seton Hall and those teams, and now, like you said, DA, it's the money game, and Creighton plays in another time zone, and it's just not the same. And I know some people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, these three guys from New York."
That's cool. It's cool. I'm not mad about it. It's, the thing that used to bug me out when watching it back in the days was that everybody was from your city. Like, what I'm saying? Like, I knew dudes that played on all teams in the Big East. Like, I knew dudes that played at Syracuse, had dudes that played at Walter Berry, played at St. John's. So, like, we knew these dudes. Like, we knew them, Sleepy Floyd went to Cardinal Hayes. That's my high school, played for Georgetown.
Floyd, yeah.
So, like, these dudes is all from around the way. So, like, you knew them. Like, it was something personal, I guess, to watch the Big East, man.
100%.
And they probably, me and my boys from down here, we argue. And I say, man, the Big East was the strongest conference ever.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think,
no doubt. No doubt.
Anytime when, you have all four schools in the Final Four with Big East.
That was 85. So that was Villanova, Georgetown, and St. John's. All in the final. Yeah, all in the final. And okay, man.
No, go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, there was a time, to your point, when you were naming all those guards, like, colleges came from across the country to come to New York because you had to get a point guard from New York. You had to, like, if you didn't have a point guard, huh?
North Carolina always had one.
Yeah, yeah. Like Bobby Cremins, from Georgia Tech, always recruited well in New York. Like, you knew, when you wanted a leader for your team, you came to New York to get your guards. And and it's changed a little bit. It's watered down. Some, guards are getting a little bit bigger, but you just knew those guards from New York were so what we were talking about earlier. They were tough from playing against grown men in the park. They knew how to handle mental toughness. They get knocked down. You see Mark Jackson, playing against the Georgetown his freshman year, he get knocked down, he getting right back up. Pearl Washington almost fighting Patrick Ewing. Pearl is what, 6'1", 6'2", and ready to throw hands with Patrick Ewing. Like, but that's how, again, New York City guards could fight. Why? They were short and they had to fight. You had to fight in the park sometimes.
Like it was just something different, man. You're talking about like just those years of the Big East. How many of those guys, like, just Hall of Fame dudes, like, what I mean, like Chris Mullin, Patrick Ewing, it was very serious back then, man. Pearl Washington. I always thought that Syracuse, and I don't like, not that I don't like, because my man Red is coaching now up there at Syracuse, but.
Yeah,
I didn't think Jimmy Boeheim was a good coach because he had so many dope players and could never get a chip except for the one Melo guy, And I'm like, dang. I'm like, yo, dog, you have Pearl, Ronnie Cycli, Stevie Thompson. Like, come on, man. Howard Trish,
Wow.
Oh man, that's that 88 team. I think that's the 88 team. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I was a little guy then, but I remember that. Yeah,
man. And remember they had your boy Sherm,
Sherman Douglas. Yep.
Nice. I'm like,
but Stevie Thompson. But they sat in that zone though, man. They sat. That's But that was their staple. I mean, even when Melo on the run, they had Hakeem Warwick. They had he recruited a lot of lanes.
Wow.
And when he finally got, and then he always had that one guard that can shoot. They always had that one guard that can
I
shoot.
had
But
Lawrence Moten. Lawrence Moten.
yeah, Oh yeah, Moten. Billy Owens. I mean, there's so
God
many
bless
guys.
Conrad from out of Brooklyn.
Conrad McRae. Yeah. Rest in peace, Conrad McRae.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
when I got to Brooklyn Tech, he was already gone, but he was like a legend, man. When I got there, and my first year was September 1990, my freshman year, and Conrad was damn near a legend. And that's all they talk about. Conrad. That's like, damn, is he still here? Like, does he still play here? And he was already gone, but
He was
he
called the
was.
Brooklyn. He was the BK Malik Sealy. So
Yeah.
they looked similar.
The high top fade. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your Brooklyn Tech days. How was it for you when you went to Tech, as we folks from Brooklyn say?
Tech was quite the experience for me because one, it's a blessing to go to a school like Brooklyn Tech because you have to take a test to get in there. And it's very high academic. One of the things I tell people all the time, the best lesson that I got from Brooklyn Tech was how to deal with people from other cultures and other races, because you had Chinese Asians, you had Indian Asians, you had white, black, Hispanic, people from all over the city. I was just telling somebody the illest tattoo I've ever seen in my life. It was freshman year. We're in the locker room, changing, and this kid had this big dragon tattoo on his back, this Asian kid. And I was just amazed, like, holy like, first I was thinking that must have hurt. One, and then one of my freshman buddies was like, yeah, he's probably triad or something like that. I was like, clearly, because that big ass tattoo. But from a sports perspective, again, I was just one of those that, I'm one of those stories of somebody that I didn't take care of my schoolwork like I should have. I broke my hand my junior year and tore my ligament in my thumb in 2 spots. And, my senior year was basically me catching up. So part of what to the model, and where I got my model from, these 4 years can impact the next 60 years of your life. Those 4 years for me, could have went either way. I could have flunked out of Tech. I could have ended up in the streets. I could have went a whole different way. I had my daughter, my senior year, and that kind of got me back on track. And now the lessons that I instill in these kids is, don't, I never regret having my daughter. She's been the blessing. She's about to make me a grandfather in November. But I tell the kids, just wait. I have this saying that I tell the girls and the boys all the time. I said, don't settle for a hamburger in high school when you can have steak in college. And what that means is, when I'm talking mainly to the girls, look, boys are like hamburger meat, right? You can make meatballs, you can make hamburger, you can make meatloaf, you can do, chopped cheese now, whatever it is that's going up there. You can do 100 different things with chopped meat. But when you go to college and you're dating in college, now that's a steak. Now you're like, do I take the math major or the engineering major? Somebody that's kind of like-minded with you that ain't gonna be on his mama's couch playing video games and sitting on his butt while you going out. I mean, too many times, in my lifetime, I've seen women drive to work and then the man gets out of the passenger side, he takes the car and he goes back home. Like, you see that. So
Yes.
that's kind of where that came from. Like,
Right.
these 4 years are that important. So although my 4 years weren't wasted because Brooklyn Tech has opened up, so like when I say it to people, they like, whoa, like their eyes open up bright, like, oh wait, you smart. I'm like, yeah, I was good in them books. I didn't take care of my books, but I was good in my books. And I use my path as a path to show people, either you're from no matter where you're from, you control your path, you control your narrative, stay true to your books. Even if you don't go to college, it's okay, but pick up a trade. Again, I was lucky that,
Yes.
in the mid 90s, computers got big, and my dad's the generation before us, they didn't know computers, so I got into the workforce. And I remember my very first like real major job, I was making more money than my dad, who was working for transit at the time, almost like 8 years, and because he was on a scale being a token booth clerk, he was on that scale. And I came out and I was making more money than him because I knew computers. I knew my way around computers. These kids will never know the struggle of dial up with the You know,
AOL.
you know that you got mail. Like they'll never know that struggle.
Nope.
You know, you go online and you chat in one of the chat rooms, and grandma pick up the phone and it disconnects your whole flow. Like these kids will never know the struggle of that. But Brooklyn Tech, man, you know, shout out to Brooklyn Tech. You know, our graduations now are held in the Barclays Center because they used to hold them at the school, but they always had to do a morning and afternoon session because their graduation class would be so damn big. But they moved it to the Barclays Center. So, you know, if you go on Brooklyn Tech's Facebook page, you'll see like, and it's full, like it's
Right.
just full. So it's still. Um, I know the last I looked, we were number 22 in the country. But I think it's gotten a little lower because New York City has watered down the school system now, where
Oh,
they
yeah.
have these little pop-up schools now that it's kind of like so nobody looks at going to Brooklyn Tech like they should, or Bronx Science or Stuyvesant, and that's our rival, Stuyvesant. We don't really consider Bronx Science a rival because they don't have like no major sports or nothing like that.
No.
But from a competitive educational standpoint, yes. But but like I said, you know, I tell people all the time that was the best sport. I mean, the most fun. Still have a lot of connections, a lot of people I keep in contact with. And my very first coaching opportunity came from a man, Barney Davis. You know, Google him. You know, he was big in New York, and people will give him shout out like back in the 70s, and he coached girls basketball. And when I broke my hand, he gave me an opportunity to train some of the freshmen I was my junior year. He gave me an opportunity to train some of the freshmen that was coming in and help out, stay around the game. Because I couldn't play football or basketball. It cost me like I was in the cast for like almost 8 months. Because I had a pin in my hand too. And Barney Davis, you know, rest in peace, you know, Coach Davis. You know, he gave me my 100 in jail. All I did was take his damn attendance. I get his book out of the classroom, took his attendance, I got 100, just chilling. But he was, you know, older white gentleman that just didn't care where you lived, where you was from. If you wanted to learn, you know, to coach or you wanted to learn to play, he was going to teach you. And I still do some of the drills when I teach my middle school kids. I actually still do some of the drills that he showed me that we were teaching the girls back then.
Wow.
I still do them now with my middle school kids on just how to make a layup and how to finish and how to think the game. So Brooklyn Tech, you know, me coaching here today, you know, even coaching with my dad, but started with, you know, meeting Mr. Davis, Coach Davis, and taking off from there.
I was about to say, I was about to ask you, who was your inspiration? You just answered my.
Yeah, coach. Yeah, you know, my dad. You know, I mean, I had a lot of coaches. You know, shout out to Kim Walden. She was somebody that grew up with my dad, that coached us in the neighborhood, and you know, she took us, you know, to our first like out of state tournament. Anthony Whitaker, shout out to Anthony Whitaker. I got to go to the Basketball Hall of Fame, and we played in the tournament up there. God forgive me, I played as a ringer. My brother Corey had his appendix taken out and couldn't play, so I went as Corey. So I went as him and played in, and we didn't dominate. I just wanted to go for the experience, and we went to the Hall of Fame and had a good time. Like I said, my dad, you know, coached us, you know, for a couple of years in the Boulevard Rockets. Well, because the Rockets, I just couldn't root for the Knicks back then. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, guys. I just couldn't root for the Knicks back. I love them. Don't get me wrong. Brunson's my favorite player in the league, but we were the Boulevard Rockets, and then, like I said, Mr. Davis, you know, just I had four people that just really just poured into me that saw something and saw that, you know, I just had a gift, and my gift, you know, the ball stopped bouncing for everybody at some point. At some point you get to your life where, you know, you can't play competitively, but it's a way that you can give back. And that's how I've just decided to give back. I don't know if I shared with you, like my seniors this past season, all of my seniors, including my manager, all graduated with honors because I'm very big on the books. All of them. So you're talking about 4, 5, 6 girls overall graduating with honors. I take pride in that. You know,
Congratulations. Yeah.
one is
That's
playing in college. Yeah, one is playing. She's gonna her signing Keziah Merritt. She's signing with Santa Fe College, JUCO tomorrow. Because again, you know, colleges are not taking kids directly out of high school anymore.
correct.
The recruiting has changed overall, so she's going the JUCO route. But you know, that was a bigger accomplishment. I mean, of course, I want to win the state championship. Of course, I want to win the district and conference title. But the fact that all of my seniors, including my manager, graduated with honors was a bigger success story than anything.
Nah, that's pretty huge, man. Shout out to you. Let me give you some applause on that one, man. Let me get, so you play also football. What position did you play?
So I played running back and cornerback.
Okay.
And so I liked it. I was so my Rodney Hampton was my guy. Ronkers Allen was my favorite player growing up, but Rodney Hampton was my guy because Rodney Hampton would lower the boom on you. He was 6'1", 235, and I wanted to be Rodney Hampton. And I wanted to lower the boom on you. And then because I was fast, I played corner. And ironically, the game when I broke, actually the practice when I broke my hand in practice because my defensive back coach wanted me to backpedal, put my hand in the floor, and kind of explode into the tackle. And I'm like, dude, that don't work for me. Like I wasn't Dion on the corner, but I was I wasn't Darryl Green fast, maybe Champ Bailey effective. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? And he's telling me to tackle this way. So I did it his way, broke my hand. But we were supposed to play my brother's high school. My brother went to Madison, and we were supposed to play Madison that Saturday. I broke my hand on a Tuesday. We were supposed to play Madison that Saturday. And I'm talking smack. Oh my God, yo, I'm gonna shut your corner down. I mean, your Wayne Yearwood was the top receiver for Madison back then, and I was gonna shut him down and do all this other stuff, and I was gonna run. I was gonna do all this other stuff, but God had a different plan for me, and I don't regret it. I don't. It was already written where I needed to be. So, but I played running back and corner and had some fun, man. I definitely had some fun, man.
Are you an advocate for your kids that you coach now playing different sports?
Yeah. So a lot of my girls play volleyball. I'm very big on it. I tell them like right now, volleyball's in season in Florida in the high school season. I have a couple of girls that play volleyball. Now, my belief that volleyball helps them because it helps them with they got to learn how to jump straight up so they don't hit the net. It teaches you how to block shots and the rebound. All you got to do when you jump is just turn your hands so that you can rebound. That's the only difference. So I'm very big on, they play, and I go to the games too. So they have a volleyball game. Hey, let me know when you guys got a game. I go to volleyball games. Then we have basketball season. Flag football for girls is getting big out here in Florida now. So I have a few that play flag football. And I walked on the field last year. We were playing a rival school, Hudson, and I walk out on the field, and everybody like, Coach Stein, Coach Stein. I'm like, yeah, like I played football, I watch football. Now, and I even have girls that play tennis. I go out there and I be like, look, this is why coaches indoor sports because it's too damn hot out here. But know that I'm going to be out here to support you at least once or twice. I'll come out there. And and the tennis matches, it's different when you're watching high school kids versus watching Venus and Serena play. Like but it's still fun. And the fact that they know that I care, I call them all my basketball daughters. I have hundreds of basketball daughters. I have a basketball daughter, Cara Dunn, that's she's actually replacing Juju Watkins out at USC. I had her as a 7th grader, and she was playing 10th grade basketball, and she was you just knew she was special.
Man.
You just knew she was special. So I'm always in support of my basketball daughters. I try to get them to run track. That half of them can't. I coach. I can't. No. But I'm very big on it. You should give yourself more than one opportunity to get a scholarship, but just be a kid. Just enjoy these teenage years and just have fun. Give yourself options.
Makes you a better athlete too.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, we're an advocate on this show, and me and Da, we say it all the time. I played 2 sports, baseball and football myself. I just think, like you said, Da and Coach, it makes you definitely a better athlete. Who you a fan of in the NFL? I think we talked about this.
I am a
That's-
Raiders fan.
So
I've been
let me stop you right there. So you guys growing up in New York, because Da is a Niners fan. So
Okay.
you just said, the hell with the Jets and the Giants growing up. I know DA's story. What's your story? Because you said something about Marcus Allen.
Yeah. So flashback to 1983. At the time of the Super Bowl, it was January, so I would have been probably about 6. saw probably the greatest run I had ever seen in my life when he took the handoff and went to the left and broke back the right, cut up the middle, and was gone. And then my dad, and you guys probably remember this. So before video games, for you youngins out there, we had a game called Electric Football. And Electric Football had this board where you click on it and the board would vibrate and the men would move. You can probably find it on YouTube, with the videos of what the game was.
Go by.
And my dad played it as a kid, so he introduced it to us. And ironically, in that first set was the Raiders and the Redskins. So the silver and black, I was just drawn to it. And then having seen Marcus Allen, the months before, because we got that Electric Football set later that next Christmas in like 83 or 80, 83, 84, whenever that next Christmas was. And I just knew, I wanted to be the Raiders. Marcus Allen was my favorite player. And I've been a Raiders fan. And we were house divided. So I was a Raiders fan. My mom and my brother Corey are Cowboys fans. My dad was a Giants fan. My brother Derek at the time was a Jets fan. I don't know who he roots for today. And my youngest brother Ricky is still to this day, because of Electric Football, he's still a Redskins Commanders fan. And I mean, we were just a family just ingrained in sports, man. We just loved it. And like I said, I bleed silver and black. I love them. And I'm a realist. We are not going to be good until Patrick Mahomes retires.
I was about
We
to
just
ask
can't beat this. We just can't beat this dude, man.
No, you'll beat him this year.
We can't beat him. We get close. I think we beat him once in the last, yeah.
You're going to beat him this year for sure.
I think
I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, Pete Carroll gives us a chance because when they were looking for another coach, and everybody kind of questioned why they picked Pete Carroll, because Pete Carroll is, so you got Harbaugh, you got I forget who the Broncos coach is.
What's his name?
Sean Payton, and Andy Reid. These are the top three guys. Like, these guys are top 10 in their profession, if not higher. And then I forget who the Chargers. Well, no, I'm sorry. Harbaugh is the Chargers. So you can't bring a young guy into this situation to coach against these guys. He's going to get his ass kicked every week. So you got to bring in a guy like Pete Carroll that's established, has a Super Bowl pedigree, has a winning culture pedigree. His time just ran out in Seattle because they just weren't drafting good. But I think now that, Pete Carroll just gives us a chance to at least compete on the defensive side, that he's going to come up with some schemes, and I think Philadelphia set a good blueprint of putting pressure on Mahomes, that everybody going forward is going to watch that film from the Super Bowl to say, that's got to be our MO. Now you got Max Crosby. Now you got to give him help on the other side. You had to pay him, but now you got to give him help on the other side, because if you can, and that was the success of the Giants, on their 2 Super Bowl runs.
Absolutely.
But Strahan, Umanura,
defense, and we ran the ball.
Yeah, well, yeah, their front four was like a damn blitz coming at you. You had 4 guys and you needed six or 7 guys to block 4 guys. And hopefully that's what the Raiders. We've always just struggled with, continuity and consistency. We struggle with that because players will come and go, or we get a guy like Sapp who's like on his last wheel, or back in the day Jerry Rice gave us a couple of good years back in the day. Roger Craig, even he came over but the guys were all on their last wheel when they came. But now I think Pete, 60, I think he's like 70 years old, but he's been through the ringer, and I think, to DA's point, we have a shot. We definitely have a shot. I just need Geno Smith. I don't need Geno Smith from the Jets or the Giants. I need that Geno Smith from the last 2 years that was just efficient. But, we still got some holes. I mean, Genty's going to solve some problems at running back for us. I think he was a great pick. He was a great pick. We need, you let Jacobs go, and it's okay. I think he still had mileage on him. But Genty's going to change the game. He's a game breaker. And then we got Mayer. Our tight end is set. It's Mayer, the kid from Georgia. I forget his name. But they, and then talking about bringing Hunter Renfro back. So we can almost look like the old Patriots offense with the 2 tight end sets, that we got guys that can go up and get this ball.
Renfro is good. So Renfro is good. So I think they'll be fine. Like I said, I think they'll get them once this year. You got to also think, man, that injuries are part of the NFL, and you never know what's going to happen. I don't ever wish injury on anyone. I just don't think that Kansas City is the unbeatable giant that they were a few years ago. So, and I also think because the refs and everyone can see the BS, man, these calls and whatnot.
You know where he was going with that, right, Coach?
I do.
Oh,
As soon as you said refs, so listen,
yeah. Well, you know what it was. It wasn't no BS. Not like
you got to protect the money though, man. You got to, that's Brady got those calls. You got Mahomes is the face. He's the money right now, and they got to do whatever they got to do to protect the money. Everybody goes through that phase. I hopefully Shador Sanders. I like the kid a lot. I hope that he gets to prove everybody wrong. I hope that he shows. Tom Brady was his quarterback. Like his dad, he trained with Tom Brady. Like
Right.
his dad was like he knows what it takes to win, and he just gets an unfair shot because his dad does what every other dad does. He bigs up his son. LeVar Ball did it. Richard Williams did it. Joe Jackson did it with his kids, with his singing kids. Like, when you have a strong father that's present in your life like that, people want to knock it, but shit, he got a father there that's supporting him, and a father that played the game at the highest level, Hall of Famer, that his kid is going to have to work at. Like Shiloh's here in Tampa with the Bucks. I think he's gonna be great. I think in Todd Bowles' system, I think because he knows what it takes. Like they grew up in the house. They know what it takes to be an athlete and the sacrifices. Deion's now his body's starting to fail him a little bit, but Deion, when he was on the field, man, he shut down before Revis Island and all that other stuff.
Correct.
Deion was locking down half that field, man. Half that field.
Wouldn't even throw his way.
Yep.
Let me switch gears a little bit for the NBA.
Okay.
What do you think about the state of the NBA as it is today?
I think the NBA right now is in a great spot because the small market teams are winning. And when I say that, when you look at Indiana, Oklahoma City, and you look at how they build their teams, they didn't go out there and go get a big three and piece these guys together. Halliburton, Nembhard, Neesmith, Mathurin, these guys, and Miles Turner before he abandoned ship, which was a punk move. He definitely shouldn't have left. But these guys weren't household names, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Hartenstein. Hartenstein, wasn't necessarily a cast off from the Knicks, but and Obi Toppin even in Indiana, like these guys, the NBA is like the super team ain't gonna win it no more. You know what I'm saying? They've had 7 different champions. I think in the last, there hasn't been a repeat champion in 7, I think since maybe Golden State or something like that.
Correct.
But they haven't, but it's so spread out and the talent's so spread out. And that's why, I root for the Nets. I like the Knicks. Like I said, I love, I told you, I love Brunson. I love everything about that kid's game, his mannerism. He's a true leader because the man gave up $100 million so his boys can get their money. And I thought with OG, I get OG, I get it. You're not part of the clique. You got your money, but you should have looked over at that man. Like, you took all the money and to me, OG kind of half-assed it during the playoffs. Cat didn't, again, I think he's the reason Thibodeau got fired. He got Thibodeau fired in Minnesota. He got him fired again because the guy just won't rim protect. But Brunson gave up all this money, so he knew Josh Hart can get paid. He knew if Dante would have said he can get paid. Bridges already got a little bit of his money, and this game is changing to where again, you don't have to build the super team and go get these free agents. You just grab. People don't know Shai Gilgeous-Alexander actually was in the Paul George trade. When Paul George went to the Clippers,
yes,
he was a throw-in in that trade. Neesmith was a throw-in in the mock, and for Indiana was with Boston, and was a throw-in and the Malcolm Brogdon trade when Brogdon went from Indiana to Boston. So like you have these guys that are moving around that you don't even realize, like, they're grassroots. The GM was just pouring water and pouring water and pouring water on these guys, and now they're benefiting. And shout out to Oklahoma City, because the other thing I'll go with this is culture. I'm very big in my basketball program when it comes to culture and setting the tone for culture. I love that Oklahoma City, when Shea does an interview, Dort does an interview, Jalen Williams does the interview, the whole team is standing behind him. There's no one person that's there it's about me, I'm the star. No, we are a team, we are a family. And that's why guys, even though Shea got his money, Chet got his money, and Jalen got his money, I think guys are still going to stay because of that atmosphere. They'll probably try to run it back at least. I think that team will probably stay together for 2 to 3 more years before the league starts coming in and start trying to pluck a Wiggins and a couple of other guys to kind of to get paid, because they already got a chip. I got a chip, so let me try to run it back. I can't run it back. Let me go try to get paid now.
I think you said a great point about the new faces, and we have absolutely advocated on this show about, all right, old faces, it's time to move on. Let's big up some of these new faces, like you said Chet and Shea, SGA in Oklahoma City. Shout out to them for winning the chip.
Yeah.
And DA absolutely has been doing the town cry for that. He's like, hey man, you got to get these new kids in here, man. The old guys, man. Yes, we pay homage to them. They did great, or whatever case may be. It's time to move on. And I think hopefully, and that's a whole nother story with sports media and things like that. That's why
You need to do that for the league, right? So
Yeah. They need, as Paul Pierce and KG always say, somebody needs a breath of fresh air. The league needs a breath of fresh air. And I think, in all honesty, I think you're going to see a shift, because everybody's seen that magazine with Luka Doncic. Dude change. I mean, he looked like a whole different person the way this man came back in shape.
Luka.
And that's what, and it's going to be the Europe. I went to a clinic in Vegas. Brendan Surr, that used to be the assistant with the Pistons under Chuck Daly. I went to Vegas and went to a clinic and got to chop it up with him and talk with him. And I was like asking them, like, I told him, like, I want to go to France. I want to go to France because I want to understand what are they doing out there that these kids are coming over so ready. Because one thing I give the European game, right? The tallest kid, and this is going back to Arvydas Sabonis,
Facts.
Tony Kukoc. The tallest kid was the best player on the team and can do everything. So Arvydas Sabonis, when he got to the Blazers, he was already an older man, so he couldn't handle the ball like he used to, but he can shoot and he can pass. Kukoc was 6'10", 6'11", handling the rock. Marshall Lunas, Drazen Petrovic, like these guys were coming over hooping, because in the American game, and that's kind of like where I suffered. So I have to show you this picture. I had to send it to you. I'm in 6th grade and I'm a whole foot taller than like everybody. Like I look like a 7-footer around some shooting guards. That's how much taller I was over my friends. So I automatically got thrown in the post growing up when I maxed out at 6'1". I'm a guard, and that's where the American game hurts itself. That as soon as these kids get tall, and I was just at a you might have saw my post. I was at the Puma circuit in Orlando, and my niece, shout out to my niece Hope. I want to show her some love because my niece is 25 years old. She's an assistant college coach as well, but she's coaching 15 new boys, and these boys listen to her. She didn't lose her cool. She had 3 kids that were at least 6'3", and none of them played center. And when I say like tradition, they moved 5 out, moving the ball, passing the cut, and she was teaching them to be positionless. Like she could have easily took the tallest kid and said, "Okay, you're the center." Now defensively, her tallest kid had to guard the other player's tallest kid, but they helped a lot. They trapped a lot.
Right.
But offensively, she let them kids be kids in Rome, and that's where our game has to catch up to the European game. Is that we, going back to DA's point earlier with AAU and the trainings, train these kids to be basketball players. Don't just train them in one position. Wemby's 7'6" and can handle the rock like a guard. Kevin Durant, again, a unicorn, but he's really 7 foot. He need to stop lying and say that he's 6'6". He's not 6'7". Dude is 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
but he can handle the rock, and that's what you got to get these kids, man. You got to get these kids handling the rock, man, and being an all-around player, and not just you're just a post player or you're just this, you're just this. No, be a basketball player.
I do know one thing, man, and that Europe has on American basketball, and it's pretty simple, man. Like whether American people believe it or not, and we can do whatever you want to do it. Those kids don't go to school like we go to school here. Like they go to academies. So like and that's all they do. Like so it's like going to Oak Hill from the time you're 10, right? That's why Luka was a pro when he was 14.
Yeah.
Because you know, if you got the game, they're not gonna hold you back because you know you're quote unquote going to college or wherever, you know, so you can make money. But if you're already gonna make the money, you just may as well get good at what you're going to do because then you're going to America,
right? And
you have to compete against, you know, the reason why Tony Kukoc could play with Jordan and them is because he was really, really good. He's probably the best player in the world outside of America when he got to the Bulls.
Kukoc was like 6'6", 6'7", I believe.
No, he was 6'10".
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was like 6'10", 6'11". Yeah,
he's bigger than Rodman, and he can handle. He can shoot. Throw it on your head, you know. He's a bad dude, man. He's a bad, like I said, he was the best player in the world outside of, you know, America. You know. And,
but to your point, we have our basketball academies. They're the park. The kids just don't go to the park no more.
They don't do that.
They don't understand going out to the park or going to LA Fitness and working on your game. Like they don't. I mean, like I said, I can probably count on my finger the number of kids that I know that go onto the park and work on their games. They don't.
Well, you know, the parents take them out of the helicopter parents, and they don't want to park by themselves. And you know,
I can tell you stories on that.
You know, so it's hard. It's a hard call. But like I said, man, I learned that. You know, I got a cousin that played out in Germany, and you know, they told me, man, they said, "Yo, those kids don't go to school."
That's like baseball. That's same with baseball. That's why you have soccer, the Hispanic influx because you know they don't, like you said, they don't go to regular, and they got warm weather all year round.
It's different, man. And you know, like I said, like Luka was a pro at 14 years old. The reason why he's tall and he could play. You know,
and his dad played. His dad played. Yeah, his dad was nice.
He's gifted dudes, man. Like you know, and you know, they play the game differently. They are still kind of looking up at America per se. You know, they're still looking at like, we gotta do this and we gotta do that. You know, we still ain't here. So Wemby's coming in with a chip on his shoulder, like, yo, I'm gonna bang it on Durant. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. All right, I'm gonna be the best player in the world soon. And that's where his thing's at. That's why you got the Canadian players that are you know, doing the thing, you know.
They coming into baseball, man, too. The Pirates, I think the Pirates has that center fielder that's from Canada that's really good. I forget his. I just found out about him a couple of months ago. I was like, yo, that kid is nice.
Yeah, they got some they're athletes from all over the place, man. And the reality is, man, you know, these coaches and these programs are these people get paid to find these kids. So, you know, it's a good deal, man. I think the NBA, they need to play a little bit more defense. I think I just think it's just a hard call for the fans to watch regular season games where they don't play D. And I'm not talking about OKC. I'm just talking about a lot of other teams. And then you get to the playoffs, and then everybody's guarding up. It's like, yo, dude, you
picking up 94 feet. Yeah,
you can do this all the time if you wanted to. I don't want to hear about you. You know, I don't want excuses. I just want a good game. So, you know, because I don't know any team that you ever played for from, you know, bitty ball up that the coach said, hey, all right, now just play offense. Don't worry about no D. I don't remember that team. So,
or save yourself, or
I don't. You
know, rested yourself. Oh, coach, I think I'm going to sit out this game and I'm going to rest and get ready for the next game. Like what? Like.
All right. Well, I to DA's point, I think that's why. Yes, the NBA has absolutely positioned themselves, but they have absolutely maybe disenfranchise some fans with this resting yourself and the load management and at the end of the day, right? Because you pay to go see them perform, right? And that you're hoping and praying. I know when I bought tickets, and I know when I went to games, go to games, I will hope that said individual is playing on especially if he's not hurt. If he's hurt, yes, that's a different story. But I think that has absolutely have disenfranchised some folks, and hopefully new players will be like, let's not do that no more. Because in the words of my man Da says, if y'all don't care, I don't care.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and I like what the NBA has done, that to qualify for certain awards you have to play a certain amount of games. So like Jalen Brown got that supermax contract because he made an All NBA team, but he does it because he played over the required amount of games. So now you're gonna start messing with these guys' money, and I think it should have been higher than 65 games,
I
but
I
that's the number that's the number they got right now. It is what it is. But now, now these guys, oh, I can't get a super max because I'm only paying 45, 50 games a season. Now you're going to start seeing the change where these guys all of a sudden that would have missed a game. I think over the next couple of years, you're going to start seeing guys playing more when those awards and those first team NBAs or third team NBAs are starting to mess with your money.
that's a good point.
Yeah, well, we hope so. I agree with you.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with you.
that's a good point. The WNBA. What are your thoughts on their status and how the league is going, especially the last 2 years?
I think the league is probably in its best position that it's been probably since its inception. I used to go to a lot of the Liberty games the first year in the Garden. My ex-wife at the time used to get tickets, and nobody would go to the game. So she'd be like, "I got tickets. Hey, let's go. We got a babysitter. We good. Let's go."
That's a fact.
And so I really got to see, the first season. I think they expanded a little too fast initially because Orlando had a team, Miami had a team, Cleveland had a team. I mean, they don't even have the Houston franchise or Sacramento. So I think they expanded too fast. But now the game has grown so much. And, you got to tip your hat off to Caitlin Clark. She's there. I mean, before her, actually, Sabrina Ionescu was Caitlin Clark. She just didn't have the same flair, but she was shooting them same shots. Kelsey Plum, when she was at Washington, was shooting those same shots. But Caitlin Clark has brought in a different audience. And then, when you add the Angel Reese effect into it, listen, I think it's a facade that they don't like each other. I think they're playing on it because
Oh yeah,
they're both making a ton of money off of it. Um, and they're playing it like a Magic and Bird. They don't play the same position, so you're not going to get the same result.
Right.
I give kudos to Angel Reese because somebody and within the last month or two, if it was Shaq, thank you, Shaq. Somebody sat that young lady down and said, if you don't start playing basketball and stop worried about being pretty in these damn Instagram photos and stuff, you're going to be out of this league in 2 or 3 years. And since Vandersloot got hurt, their point guard, she's just stepped her game up to another level. So I applaud her because I got on her last year, when they was first making the comparison. When the Olympics hit, Angel Reese is in Paris and taking pictures and posing and doing this. Caitlin Clark was off the map. And when she came back that second half of the season, she was kicking everybody's ass. And that's why they're playing so much better this year. But she's got the injury bug. And somebody went to Reese and said, yo, you need to step your game up. And now, again, you still have
Mike and drill.
Oh yeah. Well, I love that she trademarked that me bounce because I have a player on my team, a young lady, a freshman, and one of my players called the Angel Reese because she'll miss the easy layup, get the rebound, and then get fouled and make the and one on the harder one. But it's still a skill, Again, however she does it, she like I said, she changed her game. The WNBA, the viewership. I tell people all the time, buy the league pass. The league pass is $37 for the year. Support the game. And I actually just ordered one of those shirts that says everybody watches the WNBA. I just ordered one of those shirts because, we need, as me as a girls coach and an advocate for the women's game, I big it up every time. I know they try to do that, pay us what you owe us, but I do disagree with that. And this is where I stand with that. There's still just a lot of things culturally that happens in the WNBA that doesn't happen in the NBA. that isn't still accepted wide from a society standpoint. That I think, and again, I don't knock anybody's choice or preference. I'm not that type of coach. I definitely don't you know have no faults or whatever they decide to do. But to America, it's still not there yet where they're going to make that kind of money. They don't play the same amount of games. The athleticism to me, which is the only difference between the men and the women's game, is athleticism. It's still not exciting as the NBA, but they are getting there. So I think Caitlin Clark hitting them half court shots. That to me, her shooting from the logo is the same as John Morant dunking on somebody down the middle. It gives the fans that type of excitement. So what they have to understand is they have to understand that they're only what 25 no 27, I think they're 27, 28 years in.
28.
When you go Yeah, so when you go back to the NBA didn't become profitable for almost 40 years. So it's gonna take time, but it's gonna start with somebody like Caitlin Clark, and now you got Skylar Diggins, you got I love the Atlanta team right now, and Nafisi Akali up in Minnesota, man, she hooping out of her mind, and they just they just have to, their marketing has to get a little bit better. I've been an advocate, so I've been trying to get a WNBA just to do a game out here in Tampa. We had the Final Four, the women's Final Four in Tampa,
Yes.
sold out big. Candace Parker, her niece actually just graduated from Steinbrenner High School out here, and I was like, man, like how cool would it be for Candace Parker, who's had she had a travel ball team out here, just come to Amalie Arena and play a exhibition game. Give us something, like help us grow the game, because we saw an influx. So the Final Four was in Tampa maybe about right before COVID, and we as coaches we saw an influx in the younger kids. So like my class that just graduated, they would have been in middle school then, and I had 6 seniors at one point. Now I have a bunch of freshmen that are coming in, but it was because coach, I went to the Final Four and I saw the girls and I saw this. I just took some of my girls to the Final Four. Or we went to the practice. We went to the Yukon and South Carolina practice, and South Carolina was dancing and doing this and doing this and doing boots on the ground. UConn was about business, man. Them girls, and everybody walked out of that Amalie Arena after that open practice. Everybody that left that arena knew UConn was gonna kick their ass on that Monday, because they was about business. And that's what the WNBA can help is now you're spreading out. I think Cleveland's getting a team. Golden State just got a team. I think Toronto's getting a team.
Mhm.
So now you got to spread it out a little bit more. Make sure the talent is still balanced, but they're still a long
It-
way from getting the money that they want. They're still a long way. Go get your side deals, get this. It's just going to be a work in progress, but continue to pour back, do the camps, do things like that. Courtney Williams sponsors a team out here in Florida. Start sponsor, get your name. I think Collier, the Fecia Collier does a team. A bunch of Skylar Dickens used to do a team. That's how you start to grow the game, and that's how you grow the game from the foundation up.
I think also too, Coach, the ladies have to support the game too.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the guys will support it. I think the ladies, if you do like a poll, more guys will support the league than the ladies. So
Yeah, my wife's grandmother lives with us. She's 92 years young, and me and her will sit there and watch we will watch a game after a game after a game after a game, and she knows everything that's going on, and she'll be the first one to tell you that damn Chicago can't beat Indiana. They can't beat. She loves Angel Reese. They can't beat Indiana. They can't beat New York. And to your point, it's got to be. It can't be the 90s, the grandmas in the 70s, 80s, and 90s watching the game. It has to be the businesswoman, the business professional woman taking her daughter to the game, or even just taking her son to the game, just getting involved in the game and being a little bit more visual. Because outside of the Caitlin Clark games, and maybe I would say Indiana, New York, and Vegas are probably the three teams that sell out the most on at home and on the road. But more of the other teams need to start selling out a little bit more too.
Yeah, as I'm watching New York and Minnesota as they're in the second quarter.
I definitely, I also think that, you know, like you said, they're in a great spot because they got a lot of guards coming in the league within the next 2-3 years. And the girls, they already get the fact that the girls got to stay 4 years anyway. So they'll have, the two young ladies from Notre Dame coming through in a few. Juju will be coming through in a few. The young lady at Rutgers that's nice.
Oh, Kaomi McMillan or something like that. Yeah.
I am crazy. What? What? That's
She's
Kenny
like,
Anderson.
she's like, oh yeah. I was gonna say Kyrie, but yeah.
Yeah. Her pad game is crazy.
Yeah.
So
Kenny Anderson.
And there's a girl at Louisville too that's nice. So, with those players coming in, I think it's going to be really important that the WNBA starts to push or work with the NCAA to make sure these girls are known commodities before they get in the WNBA.
Yeah.
So when they get there, it's not like, oh, okay. Because Caitlin, the thing that Angel and Caitlin have is that everybody knew who they were on the way in. So you're going to need that. You're going to need to make sure. Because listen, the women's NCAA tournament is probably, at this point in time, it's still probably a little bit better than the men's because people don't know who the men are. Right? They're just getting back to them staying in school for 2-3 years.
Well, these kids change schools so much you can't even fall in love with a kid because he's on Texas Tech 1 year, USC the next year, then he's going to Washington, and then he's going to Miami.
You said, though, it's you said this earlier though, man. It's the NIL and the way this money. Listen, man. Patino said, "Nah, I'm not recruiting any freshmen."
Said it.
I don't want none.
Yeah.
Don't want none. So yeah, you could forget that. I got 2 cats coming over from here, 2 guys coming from here. I got some 5th year, some seniors, set picks, get rebounds, because that's what Florida had. That's what Auburn had. Auburn was they were probably almost as old as OKC, right? Because the Auburn team was 24 average.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a lot of 4th and 5th year seniors. Yeah.
So they know what they're doing, and it's going to happen the way it's supposed to happen, man. It is, man. Hey, but guys, I got to step off for a second. I'll be right back.
I got you.
What does old guys do? So I'll be back. All right.
Let me ask you this, Coach. Let's get to how do we get to the Growing Up in Brooklyn podcast? What was the inspiration behind that?
Oh man, that's a great question, man, and I love talking about this. So, when I've been doing podcasts for a while now. I had a Hoop Circle podcast where I talked about basketball. I did a gaming podcast where I talked to different streamers, and you try to find your niche. And I'm very big, and I share this with everybody that everybody sees, your body's like a house, right? And right now in our adulthood, I say the roof is finished when God calls us home. But everybody sees the house, but nobody sees the foundation. Nobody sees, the concrete that was poured that made the rest of the house what it is.
Correct.
So when I thought about doing the podcast and specifically Growing Up Brooklyn, I wanted to go back to just good times, man, and seeing everything that's going on in the world. And I just wanted these young kids that watch the pod, to go back and think about like when we were kids, we didn't have iPhones, and we had maybe Atari was, a big thing back then before Nintendo and ColecoVision and all this other stuff came. But before electronics, we were kids that, like we said earlier, we went outside, we didn't, mental toughness was, when you got into a fight, if you didn't fight back, your dad or somebody from your family took you back down there and made sure that you fought. That's mental toughness. That's, and it's not cowardness, because again, I'm an advocate. I tell my girls all the time, if you could use your words first, if you could walk away from a fight, walk away from a fight. Right. But if somebody comes into your personal space and you have to defend yourself, then that's a conversation you have to have with your mom and your dad. As long as I'm aware that you tried to walk away, we good. But that's what mental toughness was, man. And growing up in Brooklyn and, growing up in the projects, I'm the oldest of 7 kids. The first 5 of us were all a year apart. And we were in a 2-bedroom apartment, 5 kids, my mom, my dad, and my dad's mother, my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, in a 2-bedroom apartment. And, society said my mom was supposed to be on welfare for the rest of her life. My dad was supposed to be selling drugs. Then grandma was supposed to be the one holding it down and raising us kids. And she helped. I mean, she was a tremendous help and a tremendous influence in my life. But my mom, was a tremendous influence in my life. My dad was a tremendous influence in my life. And I wanted people to come on the podcast and tell those stories. Like when you came on and a lot of the recent guests I came on, when they talk about Brooklyn, everybody cracks this big ass smile. And I love it. Like you have your smile. Like I said, you crack this big ass. When you talk about Brooklyn, we just light up in the way like, and I'm gonna give DA a little rub about this, but like, when you talk about Harlem, it's like, all right, Harlem can dress, they got the uptown sneakers, the Air Force Ones.
Yeah, for
For
one.
us in New York, we call them uptowns because the Harlem guys made them popular. We'll give them their credit when it comes to fashion,
Uptown.
but for everything else, rap, everything else, it's Brooklyn, man. It starts in Brooklyn. Everything starts in Brooklyn. You can say Kool Herc did whatever he did in the Bronx. I'm pretty sure Kool Herc went somewhere in Brooklyn and saw it and took it back to the Bronx. I'm gonna call him out on that a little bit, but
Michael
it's just
Jordan was born in Brooklyn.
what's that?
Michael Jordan was born in
Oh
Brooklyn.
yeah, listen, he don't claim it, but yeah, he's born in Fort Greene Hospital, right across the street from
Right.
Brooklyn Tech. Right across the
Absolutely.
street from Brooklyn Tech. You know what I'm saying? A lot of great things come out of Brooklyn, and we could be a city in our own. It's so big and
2 million
the
people.
diverse cultures. And like I said, for me, going to Brooklyn Tech was phenomenal because when I got into the workforce, I knew how to deal. Like I knew how to have a conversation with somebody where, if I'm in my neighborhood and I'm around my boys, and I talk a certain way, even though I don't use the N word no more. It was part of my growing up, but I don't use it no more, and I teach the kids not to use it. But then when I was at work and with one of my work coworkers, black, white, or whatever, I knew that I couldn't talk a certain way. I knew I had to move a certain way, and that's what I learned in Brooklyn Tech was just how to move a certain way. So that's why, when I bring my guest on, the first question I always ask is, what is your earliest memory growing up Brooklyn? And it's all over the place. And I'll tell you, my earliest memory was me, my brother Derek, my brother Corey, and my cousin TJ. He's 3 years older than me. And we're in front of my building near the bus stop, and we're trying to figure out how the hell we're going to cross the street to spend these quarters that we got to go to the store. But none of us could cross the street. TJ was a little older. He was able to cross the street, but he knew he couldn't take us with him because he would have got his butt whipped.
Right.
Having us, the three of us younger than him, crossing the street. So I had to be maybe
Busy street.
about, and Ashford Street was a busy street because it was a bus block where the bus came up and down.
Number 6.
So
Yes.
that was my like I can remember that. I can remember that day, some like springtime, and I'm in like I can almost even remember what I had on to that day, and that memory just stays with me because it's just the four of us. Like if I could paint a picture, it would be such an awesome picture because it's just the four of us trying to figure out how we're gonna get over here and spend this money. How a quarter. My allowance when I was, in elementary school, I got a quarter a day. Sometimes 50 cents and my dad was feeling good, but a quarter a day at least got you a bag of chips, got you some cookies, got you all this other stuff. I understand also now why we ate cornflakes growing up, because there was no way that my grandmother and my dad and my mom was going to have 5 kids all sugared up on some damn Captain Crunch and Fruity Pebbles and running all through the damn house and bouncing off walls and stuff like that. But when we went to my aunt, shout out to my aunt Diana, when we went and rest in peace to my cousin Kelly, when I went to her house, oh man, that's why Captain Crunch for Crunchberries, even though I can't eat them like I used to, but that was my favorite cereal because every time I went over there, that's the first thing I went. I walked in their house, said all my hellos, didn't care what time of the day it was. I was trying to get to that cereal. That's all I was trying to do. And
Crunch.
dude, listen. And people always say, "Oh man, that's the thing that scratches your teeth and the root of your mouth." Listen, young kids that still eat Captain Crunch today, when you pour the cereal into, some people pour their milk in and pour their cereal in, which I think is a travesty. You pour your cereal in, you pour your milk over the top of it, you let it sit for about 3 to 5 minutes, and it'll get a nice little, it won't get soggy, it'll get a nice little softness to it, and you'll love it. Thank me later. Thank me in the comments later. Trust me.
Uh,
But
that's something great that you said about pouring the milk. I was like, who does that? I watch people, even so I know we're going off a little bit. Even people that eat pizza with a damn fork.
they ain't from New York. You ain't from New York.
You're wrong.
That's right. That's right. You ain't from New York. I've never
Fold the pizza, take the pizza, and then you eat the pizza. You don't never use a fork. I see it, coach, and it absolutely grinds my gears. And that's like, yo, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just eating the pizza. No, you're not eating the pizza.
No.
Utensils away. Quick thing that you said about Brooklyn Tech. I actually took the test and I didn't get in. But I turned out okay, I believe. So, man.
Yeah, you did, man. For sure.
I appreciate that, man. Coach, before we go, I know you said about the life lessons about this 4 years will determine your next 60. Any other euphemisms or any other knowledge you want to pass on before we get on out of here?
Yeah, one thing my Aunt Lynn, shout out to my Aunt Lynn. She was an educator in the New York City. She was a social worker actually in the intermediate school, junior high school that she worked in, IS 218 in East New York, Brooklyn. She was a social worker. You thought she was a guidance counselor, and she was a social worker.
Wow.
And but she was such a pillar in the community for so many years that I'll give you this quick story. This mom, so there's this young girl that's out there is fighting. Anytime a fight broke out in that area, they didn't go get school safety. They went and got my aunt, and my aunt would have to go all the way out there because my aunt knew everybody in the neighborhood, and my aunt went out there. The girl was a little bit disrespectful to her, and so fight over. So the next day, mom and grandma comes up to the school, and because now mom and grandma are of the new era where you don't chastise my kid, you don't do this, you don't do this.
Yeah.
And when they got to my aunt's office and they said, "Wait a minute, you was disrespectful to Mrs. Hodges," grandma and mom started whipping on the girl right there. "Don't you ever be disrespectful to Mrs. Hodges ever again." Yada yada yada. And I say that to say she gave me one of my biggest life lessons. That model that I use is what I steer towards my kids. But my biggest life lesson is if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And she gave me that. I think I was in 7th grade when she gave it to me on a paper, and I hung it up on my bedroom. And I still stick by that. That you know, life is all about choices and planning and decision making. And a choice, every decision has a choice. Every choice has a consequence. Consequence could be good, could be, bad or indifferent. But just know that whatever you choose, be confident in what you choose, but know that, and Wallow, from Gilly Wallow says this all the time. He said a 5-second decision cost him 20 years of his life. That 5 seconds that he jumped in that window to rob that store cost him 20 years of his life. And and when I say, like, if you don't have a plan of how am I going to, how can I make my life better? And in today's day and age, you can do that where, you have these kids have the internet, they have YouTube, you have different ways that, we didn't have these resources. We had to go to the library. Half these kids don't even know what an encyclopedia is, you know, and that's why when I talk to my young, the girls, because I coach a girl, but even a lot of the boys still come and talk to me, "Coach, what do you think about this? What do you think about this?" Well, what's your plan? Like, that's the first thing I'll say is, "What's your plan? How did I like? What's your plan to? This is your goal, Okay, cool. I want to buy me a car. So what's your plan?
Right.
Because if you don't have a plan, you are going to fail to achieve what you want to achieve. And when my aunt taught me that, like I said, throughout my life and my business career, and my work career, anytime I saw a position, I always had a plan. How am I going to move up to this next job? I saw it. You see it, you visualize it. One thing, when I worked in the call center, I used to dress like I was a supervisor. I used to have my shirt, my tie, and when I walked in, and this lady Jackie gave me this compliment. She said, "When you first got here, we didn't know if you was an agent or a supervisor or what." And I said, "Good, because that y'all wasn't supposed to know what I am." Like, and you got to have that game plan. You got it. Life is just a big game plan. And if you don't, like in sports, if you don't have the proper game plan, you lose, you fail the task. So again, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That is probably one of the biggest life lessons that I still carry with me to this day.
For sure.
Got you, ladies and gentlemen. He is Coach Tyrone Hodges. Let me give him some applause.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me, man. This has been fun, man. This has been I could do this all day, but thank you guys
going to talk to
for
you
having
again.
me.
Like your thoughts on coaching boys against coaching girls. But we'll talk about that because my son played D1 ball.
Oh, okay.
And he only watched girls basketball in high school because he broke his leg when he was 14.
Mm-hmm.
Dunking. He went from being a post player to being a shooter. So when he got the VMI, he was a 6'4" which he was right on time. He's right where he needed to be.
Good, yeah.
Now when he was 7, everybody thought he was going to be 7 feet tall. Like you, he was he was that kid. But when he got to 6'4" and change, that was it. B, like that was it. That was it. So it was basketball is a beautiful game. And I think
beautiful
for boys and girls.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that, like you said with the WNBA, we have to start cultivating that for the young ladies. And making sure that, the high school basketball, the AAU girls basketball, all these things are done the right way. Because even in that world, they still crap on it, right? So, you got the EYBL, which is bigger for the boys than it is for the girls, and you have to do the same for each. If you want it to if you want the WNBA to be what it's supposed to be, you better put that bread up, because that's the only way the girls are going to get there, because it costs.
Yeah. Seats and ticket prices and stuff are going to have to go up, but I think, if the league passed, I think I said it was $37 for the year. If it went up to $100, I would still buy it. I would still buy it. I think there's enough game. There's enough games and there's enough interest. I would still buy it. They're trying to get the buzz now. I think they hit us later with the subscription increase, but they can do it. I would still get it. I support it that much.
Correct. I think that the business model, just like you said, has to be right. So that's all.
Gotcha, Coach. Any parting words before we'll let you have the last say before we get out of here?
Again, thank you guys for having me. Please, go out and support your local youth sports. There's a lot of kids that need it. And I know DA was talking earlier about, the dads or, they go up there and they start up their own programs, making it about your kid. Please don't do that, because you guys are the ones that are hurting the game. Parents, let your kids be kids. They're going to have a bad game. Even Curry, even Jordan, like LeBron, they've all had bad nights, and it's okay for your kid to shoot 2 for 13. It's okay. But now are they getting up the next morning, and are they putting in the work? Because if you're forcing them to put in the work, then it becomes no longer fun for them. If they're no longer putting in the work, cut your ties, cut your losses early, let them just be kids. But, don't make those car ride home uncomfortable. Just, tell them. I was just telling somebody, I tell my son Tyrone is 29 and my son Terrence is 20. He'll be 24. I tell him every time I talk to him, I love you, son. I make sure they know that I love them. And, we as men and as black men, we got to let our sons know that we love them, let our daughters know that we love them. And please just go out there and support your kids, man. And if you don't have any kids, support somebody, support a niece, nephew, support somebody in your family, man. These kids need us more than they think they do, because AI is just going to just take over and it's going to just melt these kids' brains away in technology. Yes. And sometimes they need a little old school love, that they know that there's somebody that's standing behind them that can still support them.
Yeah, AI ain't going to do that for them. So,
Coach, where can everybody? I got your website up here. Where else can everybody come check you out?
Yeah, so again, you can go to the website, Growing Up Brooklyn Podcast. We post a lot of our videos on YouTube, Growing Up Brooklyn. You type up Growing Up Brooklyn almost anywhere, TikTok, Instagram, you'll find me all over the place. But through the website, you have all our links. And like I said, I got to update the website because, like I said, me and you had an amazing show. DA, I'm going to get you on, man. We're going to do a Harlem session, man. I need some
Get ready.
fat cat. I need some fat cat and some uptown stories, man. I need some, some good Harlem stories. So
man. I used to love going to watch games, man.
Rucker, y'all, man. Listen,
hey.
shout out to Rucker Park, man. Rucker Park is the original. I mean, you got Dykeman now, you got Gersh. West Fourth is still popping a little bit, but
I always thought that was funny because the court was so small. And dudes would be so big.
Yes.
Yeah, the cage, yo.
Like 6'8", 6'9". I'm like, yo, the court is 4 feet long. Everybody out here playing has got to smoke Newports. Got to.
Yeah, yes, in the cage. Yeah, so so like I said, shout out to the Rucker, man. But like I said, you can find us, Growing Up Brooklyn, come on. If you know somebody from Brooklyn that want to come on, definitely we take recommendations. Like I said, I gotta get your cousin on and get and just show Brooklyn, to show us love, man. New York City as a whole is the greatest borough. No matter where you're from, we all talk smack about each other. Yep. But if you are from somewhere else and you talk about us, we gang up like Voltron, man. All 5 boroughs turn into Voltron, and we'll gang up on you real quick when you come at the city. So don't think that because we have our little cousinly love. We talk about Harlem, and again, Harlem is representing one borough, but the Bronx and Queens and Staten Island is often forgotten about, outside of the Wu-Tang. But we will still gang up on your ass really quick when it comes to New York, man. We take care of our own. We definitely take care of our own.
And I'm going to let Coach Ty have the last words on that. Listen, if we'll have Coach Ty back on, I'm pretty sure during this football and basketball season, man. On behalf of myself, I'm Kevin L. Warren, your host and moderator for the DA, and for our special guest tonight, Coach Ty, man. Yo, this is the Sports Chasers podcast. Y'all be good, be great. Coach Ty, don't go nowhere. Hey, we'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Sports Chasers podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms, and connect with us on all social media channels for exclusive content and updates. We'd also love for you to join the conversation, share your thoughts, and become part of the Sports Chasers community. And remember to tune in next time for some more real sports talk. Until then, stay frosty.